happening in town and take a closer look at the businesses that are growing here. It's Gate City Insider every week on GTN.
What are you waiting for? Your future awaits at Guilford Technical Community College. Make amazing happen.
Expedite it. I want to. No, but. Mike?
Recording in progress.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the May 19th, 2025 Greensboro Planning and Zoning Meeting. My name is Catherine Magid, and I am the chair of the commission. If the other commissioners would introduce themselves, starting from the right.
Warshay Downing.
Sandra O'Connor. Mary Schemes. Erica Glass.
Paul G. Gilmer Sr.
Stu Nichols.
And online, Mr. Peterson, are you online? He is? Okay, thank you.
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you. Members of the commission are appointed by the City Council and serve without pay. The commission reviews all original zoning and rezoning requests for the City of Greensboro. Each commissioner normally visits each site prior to this meeting. All commissioners are required to vote unless they have a conflict of interest. This meeting is being conducted in person and online and is being recorded and televised on the Greensboro Television Network, GNT, and the telecast is being closed captioned for the hearing impaired. If anybody participating online needs help with Zoom during this meeting, please email Luke Carter at lucas.carter@greensboro-nc.gov. The procedure used at this public meeting is as follows. Planning staff presents background information and makes a recommendation. The applicant will present a short summary on how he or she communicated with the neighborhood and why the request is reasonable. Other persons in favor of the request, there's 15 minutes shared with the applicant to speak. Speakers opposed to the request share 10 minutes of speaking time. Those in favor of the request will share 5 minutes of rebuttal time. Those in opposition to the request will share 5 minutes of rebuttal time. Speakers for non-zoning related items, and we have one of those today, a street closure, will be granted 3 minutes each. Any commission member may ask questions once the presenter has completed their presentation. When speaking here tonight, please direct all questions and comments to the Zoning Commission. The chair or commissioner or commissioners will ask the staff to comment on questions. When a case is called that you are interested in, people wishing to speak in person will need to come to the podium. People wishing to speak online will need to use the raised hand function on the reaction button. Look for it now. Participants in the Zoom meeting will be able to view the meeting and speak when they are called upon. When you are called upon to speak, please state your name and address for the record. In an effort to run the meeting more efficiently, the Planning and Zoning Commission may reorganize the meeting agenda. Cases in which no opposition has been expressed to the Planning Department and in which the Commission does not feel necessitates a discussion will be moved to the top of the agenda and will become the expedited agenda. Staff will provide a shortened presentation for these expedited cases, and the applicant will have up to 2 minutes to address the Commission if they so desire, to provide additional information they want the Commission to know. All approved ordinances or denied cases receiving 6 or more favorable votes will constitute a final action unless an appeal is submitted in writing to the Planning Department and the appeal fee paid within 10 days. All ordinances receiving a majority of favorable votes but less than 6 will be subject to a public hearing by the City Council. Okay.
Chair Magid, if I may, sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you in the course of the comment. Something I heard early on, and I may have just misheard, but just for clarity's sake, the applicant and those in support of the application, they initially get a 10-minute period to speak, right? I wasn't sure if I heard 10 or 15.
Yes, that's what I said.
Okay, yes, ma'am. Just wanted to make sure.
No, I thought it was. I said 10. Anyhow, it is 10 minutes. Thank you. Okay, so now I would like to acknowledge the absence of Ms. Turner. We need to vote on that? The absence, do we need to vote on that?
No, I think
Okay,
we're fine.
thank
Chair
you.
Magid, sorry.
Approval of the minutes. I will entertain a motion to approve the April 21st minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raise your hand. Aye. Anyone? Oh, wait. Online, Mr. Peterson? Online, Mr. Peterson?
Yes, yeah.
Thank you. All those opposed? Seeing none, that passes 8-0. Now we need to have some insights from our city attorney, Mr. Duchamp.
Thank you, Chair Magid, and good evening, everyone. Much of the Planning and Zoning Commission's work this evening will relate to the consideration of rezoning applications. I'd like to remind everyone in attendance that when the Commission considers these applications, its determinations are based upon the land uses that are allowed under the zoning district that's been put forth by the applicant, as well as any conditions that have been proposed by the applicant. Land use impacts on public infrastructure are relevant in rezoning matters, but it's important to know that the Commission is not here to determine all details of the development. That process involves staff input and evaluation that goes beyond the scope of the Commission's work here this evening. If a rezoning would generate a certain amount of traffic flow, the Commissioners will have been provided with a traffic impact study, a summary traffic impact study. Meanwhile, many site-specific development features, such as the particular means of management of stormwater, are evaluated through the Technical Review Committee rather than in this forum. Lastly, concerns that are not related to land use are not germane to the Commission's consideration of rezoning applications. For example, generalized concerns about crime rates and questions of who may live or own or use a subject property are not for the Commission's consideration. If there are questions about matters that are not addressed this evening, those may be referred to the Planning Department or technical staff as appropriate. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kirkman, do we have any continuances?
Yes, we do have one request to continue an item this evening. It's case Z-25-05002 for 3707 Houston Road. The applicant is ill and unable to attend this evening, and communicated earlier with city staff and asked that item be moved to the June 16th Planning and Zoning Commission agenda.
Thank you. Do we need to vote on that?
You would, yeah.
Yes. So I'd like to take a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raise your arm. Aye.
Aye.
And Mr. Peterson?
Aye.
Those opposed? That passes 8-0. Okay. Now it's my understanding that we have two cases in opposition tonight. Would the street closure be included at this point?
It is a public hearing, so you can certainly group it in with the rest of the cases for terms of expediting or not.
Okay, or we could do it after the opposition.
Correct.
Okay, so I'm going to expedite the two cases and leave the street closure because we have a Spanish-speaking person who's helping out this evening, an interpreter. So the expedited cases are Z25-05-001, 1199 Pleasant Ridge Road. It's a office annexation, original and rezoning. And Z25-05-003, 2308 Fleming Road. It's an L rezoning. Is there anyone in the chamber that would like to speak about the other cases that we have here tonight? Just want to make certain, and or online. Thank you. Let's see. If not, we will place these items in the expedited agenda and proceed with the expedited. Let me read the case. Good, perfect. Okay. Item PLP 25-18 and Z25-05-001, an annexation, original zoning, and rezoning request from County AG Agricultural to City CDCM, Conditional District Commercial Medium, to City O Office for the properties identified as 1199 Pleasant Ridge Road, 1801 and 1805 Crude Road, generally described as north of Pleasant Ridge Road and west of Crude Road, 3.15 acres. Ms. Harrison.
Thank you, Chair Maggot. This is a map, the zoning map of the subject properties, and it contains approximately 3.15 acres and are located north of Pleasant Ridge Road and west of Crude Road. This is an annexation, original zoning, and rezoning request from County Agricultural, and City CDCM Conditional District Commercial Medium to City O Office. North of the request is Zone County Agricultural. East and west of the request are Zone County Agricultural, and City R3 Residential Single Family 3. South of the request is Zone City R3 Residential Single Family 3 and CDRM 26 Conditional District Residential Multifamily 26. This is an aerial map of the subject properties, and it currently contains a single-family dwelling. North and east of the request contains single-family dwellings. South of the request contains a single-family dwelling and multifamily dwellings. West of the request contains single-family dwellings and undeveloped land. And in providing recommendations, staff states that the GSO 2040 Comprehensive Plan designate this site as urban general on the future built form map. The Comprehensive Plan's future land use map designates this property as within the Western Area Plan. The Western Area Plan designates this property as residential. The proposed original zoning and rezoning request support both the Comprehensive Plan's prioritizing sustainability, big idea to promote environmental stewardship, social equity, and a resilient economy, and the filling in our framework strategy to invest in building and maintaining quality, accessible public recreational centers, libraries, neighborhood park facilities, and other services to sustain livable neighborhoods. The proposed zoning district permits uses that are compatible with the existing uses in the surrounding area. The request reflects changes in land use patterns and additional public infrastructure since the adoption of the Western Area Plan. And I can answer any question that you have.
Thank you, Ms. Harrison. Does the Commission have any questions? Okay, seeing none, would the applicant like to make any comment? You have up to 2 minutes to speak. Okay, seeing none, I will entertain a motion here. We have an annexation as well as a rezoning. The M to O portion will be rezoned, and the county to city is an original zoning, so we will have an annexation and a zoning request.
Mary Skates.
Wait, let me close the public hearing. I'm sorry. Now, Ms. Gaines.
And the annexation will be for the 1801 and 1805 Coode Road, is that correct? Yes.
Just 1805.
Then I move that we annex 1801 and 1805 Coode Road into the city.
Stu Nichols, seconded.
Thank you, Ms. Gaines and Mr. Nichols. Now we will take a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
I have a need to know basis about that.
And Mr. Peterson online?
Aye.
Thank you. Any opposed? That passes 8-0. Now we need a motion.
I'll make a motion again. Mary Skeens for 1109 Pleasant Ridge Road, 1801 and 1805 Coode Road, rezoning from County Ag and City CDCM to City O Office to be consistent with the adopted GSO 2040 Comprehensive Plan, and considers the action taken to be reasonable and in the public interest for the following reasons. The request is consistent with the Comprehensive Plan's future built form map and future land use map. The proposed City O zoning, office zoning as condition. permits uses that fit the context of the surrounding area, and limits negative impacts on the adjacent properties. The request is reasonable due to the size, physical conditions, and other attributes of the area. It will benefit the property owner and surrounding community, and approval is in the public interest.
Commissioner Gilmer seconds.
Thank you, Ms. Kingles and Mr. Gilbert. Now, let's see. We will need to vote on this. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye and raise your hand. Aye.
Aye.
And online, Mr. Peterson?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That passes 8-0. This constitutes a favorable recommendation and is subject to a public hearing on Tuesday, June 17th, 2025, City Council meeting. Thank you, Ms. Harrison. The next item on the expedited Thank you, Mr. Carter. Item Z 25-05-003, a rezoning request from CDCN Conditional District Commercial Neighborhood to CDCL Conditional District Commercial Low for the property identified as 2308 Fleming Road, generally described as north of Fleming Road and west of Inman Road, 1.91 acres.
Thank you, Chair Magid. This is the zoning map showing the property contains approximately 1.91 acres and is currently zoned CDCN and is requested to be rezoned to CDCL for conditional district commercial load. North and west of the request are zoned R3. East of the request is zoned conditional district office and conditional district commercial load. South of the request is zoned commercial medium and conditional district commercial medium. This is the aerial map of the subject property, which contains a single-family dwelling. To the north and west of the subject property are single-family dwellings. East of the request contains undeveloped land and a convenience store with fuel pumps. And south of the request contains veterinary services, a daycare center, and a shopping center. This is the condition that was proposed by the applicant. And in recommending approval of this request, staff notes that the GSO 2040 Comprehensive Plan's Future Built Form Map currently designates the subject property as urban general. The GSO 2040 Comprehensive Plan's Future Built Form Map also designates the subject property as being within a neighborhood-scaled activity center and an urban mixed-use corridor. The GSO 2040 Comprehensive Plan's Future Land Use Map currently designates a portion of the subject property as residential and another portion as commercial. The proposed rezoning request supports the comprehensive plan's growing economic competitiveness big idea to build a prosperous, resilient economy that creates equitable opportunities to succeed, and the filling in our framework goal to arrange land uses for a more vibrant and livable Greensboro. The proposed conditional district commercial low zoning district, as conditioned, would allow all uses permitted in the CL zoning district except eating and drinking establishments. The proposed rezoning would facilitate development of an underutilized commercial site, and the proposed uses are compatible with existing uses on adjacent tracts. With that, I can answer any questions that you have.
Thank you, Mr. Carter. Does the Commission have any questions? Okay, seeing none, would the applicant like to make any comments? You have up to 2 minutes. Well, we didn't seem to have any questions. Okay, so okay, thank you. So seeing none, without further objection, we will close the public hearing. I will entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion.
Thank you.
The Greensboro Planning and Zoning Commission believes that its action to recommend approval of the rezoning request of the property at 2308 Fleming Road from CDCN Conditional District Commercial Neighborhood to CDCL Conditional District Commercial Low to be consistent with the adopted Greensboro 2040 Comprehensive Plan, and considers the action taken to be reasonable and in the public interest for the following reasons. The request is consistent with the Comprehensive Plan's future built form map and future land use map. The proposed CDCL zoning district, as conditioned, permits uses that fit the context of the surrounding area and limits negative impacts on the adjacent properties. The request is reasonable due to the size, physical conditions, and other attributes of the area. It will benefit the property owner and surrounding community, and approval is in the public interest.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second, Warshay Downing.
Thank you, Ms. O'Connor and Mr. Downing. We will now take a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your arm. Aye. Mr. Peterson online?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes 8-0. This approval constitutes a final action unless an appeal is submitted in writing to the Planning Department and the appeal fee paid within 10 days. Anyone may file such appeal. All such appeals will be subject to a public hearing at the Tuesday, June 17, 2025 City Council meeting. All adjoining property owners will be notified of any such appeals. And I'd like to just say at this point, the Pleasant Ridge Road is a fire station, and we always need more fire stations. So thank you so much for that. I meant to say something before. Now we will go on to the regular agenda. And before you speak, Ms. Harrison, thank you. We will have some Spanish language interpretation and translation occurring with this case, just to let you know. Thank you, Ms. Harrison.
Ms. Baggett, can you go ahead and read the information?
Oh, I'm sorry. Item Z25-04-005, a rezoning request for R3 residential single-family 3 to LI light industrial for the property identified as 1419 Glendale Drive, generally described as south of Glendale Drive and east of South Holden Road, 2.66 acres. Ms. Harrison.
Thank you, Chair Magid. This is a zoning map of the subject property, and it is approximately 2.66 acres and is located south of Glendale Drive and east of South Holden Road. This is a rezoning request from R3, residential single-family 3, to LI, light industrial. North of the request is R3, residential single-family 3, and LI, light industrial. East and south of the request are zoned R3, residential single-family 3. West of the request is zone LI, light industrial. This is an aerial map, and it shows that the property is undeveloped land. North of the request contains a religious assembly use, retail, and manufacturing facility. East of the request contains a single-family dwelling. South of the request contains a single-family dwelling and undeveloped land. West of the request contains undeveloped land. This image shows the subject property as seen from Glendale Drive. This image shows a manufacturing facility located northwest of the request on Phoenix Drive, zoned LI. This image shows a religious assembly located northeast of the request on Glendale Drive, zoned R3. This image shows a single-family dwelling located east of the request on Glendale Drive, zone R3. This image shows a single-family dwelling located south of the request on South Holden Road, zoned R3. This image shows undeveloped land located west of the request on South Holden Road, zoned LI. This view is facing west on Glendale Drive. The subject property is on the left. This view is facing east on Glendale Drive. The subject property is on the right. And in recommending approval, staff states that the GSO 2040 comprehensive plan currently designates excuse me. In the staff recommended denial of the request and states that the GSO 2040 comprehensive plan currently designates the property as planned industrial on the future built form map and industrial on the future land use map. The proposed rezoning request does not support the comprehensive plans filling in our framework big idea to arrange land uses for where we live, work, attend schools, shop, and enjoy our free time to create a more vibrant and livable Greensboro. The request does not support the Creating Great Places strategy to protect and enhance the unique character of every neighborhood. The proposed LI zoning district would permit limited manufacturing, wholesaling, warehousing, research and development, and related commercial service activities. These uses are potentially incompatible with existing uses on adjacent tracts. Notwithstanding the future built form and the future land use designations, the proposed rezoning is not of a similar scale, intensity, or off-site impact as the existing nearby uses. And I can answer any questions.
Thank you. Okay, so does the commission have any questions at this point?
Yes, Madam Chair. Just wondering, is there, well, looking for the summary of communications. Is that in our?
We'll ask the applicant
Okay,
that.
good.
Thank you for bringing that up. That's important. Are you finished? Yes. So now, if the applicant would come forward, you have up to 10 minutes. Please give your name and address. Come to the podium, please.
¿Es en inglés? Okay. ¿Es en español? Okay. Good evening, everybody. My name is Raúl Ponciano, and I'm currently renting a lot on 1419.
Your address, please.
Excuse me?
Will you give us your address next? Thank you.
Oh, it's 1419 Greendale Drive.
Thank you.
And currently, I'm renting the lot and the property. I'm a landscaper, and the use for the lot right now is used to, store my equipment, trailers. I have a container used to store, pine needles and stuff. And,
Excuse me, could you move the microphone a little closer to him so we capture all of this?
Sorry.
Thank you. I'm hearing like every other word.
Okay, I'm going to start over again just to make sure.
Thank you.
My name is Raúl Ponciano, and I'm currently renting a lot at 1419 Glendale Drive, Greensboro. I'm a landscaper, and I use a lot at 1419 Glendale Drive to park my equipment, such as trucks, landscape trailers, and storage container. This property is currently zoned residential. For me to be allowed to park my vehicles, storage containers, the city of Greensboro requires the property to be rezoned to commercial. The address possible neighbor concerns, I will state there will be no traffic increase. I do not plan to make any major changes to the property. I will keep the property clean and organized. I wish to have maintain a good relations with all the neighbors. And if my request is approved by the Planning and Rezoning Commissions of the City of Greensboro, I will install a private fence. I kindly request if we approve the support of my request for rezoning of 1419 Glendale Drive, Greensboro, and that the City of Greensboro Planning and Rezoning Commission approve my request. Respectfully, Raul Ponciano.
Is there anyone else here wishing to speak in favor of this? Okay.
I believe Mr. Downing may have had a question for the
All right,
applicant.
we're going to get to that right away. Okay. So you still have 8 minutes to speak. All right. So, Mr. Downing, we have a question.
Yes, Madam Chair. Just checking to see, is there any communication to the neighborhood that you may have, or was there a neighborhood meeting of any sort?
I've been checking with the ones around, the close neighbor. I talked to him, and he said that we've been keeping the lot cleaner than the previous, people used to live there. And that's, I've just been keeping everything, I haven't met, all the neighbors, the closer ones, but we, we'll...
Right. So just checking to see, was any type of communication sent from your perspective to inform them of what you plan to do? But thank you.
All right, thank you.
So a public hearing was not held? I mean, a public meeting was not held?
I just send the letters.
You sent the letter out to the locations. Did you have any telephone calls from anyone in response to the letter?
Nobody has called or anything.
Mr. Nichols.
How will your use of the property change once you get this change in the zoning designation?
Yeah, the purpose is,
You have to speak closer to the mic because we're not hearing you very well.
The purpose, I just want to, be able to pretty much store my equipment down the road. If whatever, it's just from the regulation from the city, I would like to build nothing, just a small, storage building or something, but nothing out of the, the mayor or anything like that.
So you'd like to build a storage building? Is that what I'm hearing? And I couldn't understand the other part.
Well, because right now there is no any building at all, So I will, if I'm allowed to, I'll just kind of in the future to build something just so I can lock my things because I have a couple of break-ins already. I just want to have something to be able to lock, my stuff there.
He wants to lock his.
Can you speak into the mic? Thank you.
He wishes to lock his equipment. Put something to lock the equipment.
So that's that you'll be using it for that purpose, for storing your equipment. Okay, thank you.
I have another question. So, and maybe this is a question for staff, but is the current use of the parcel in conflict with the current zoning?
Yes. So he's currently under enforcement action. We had a complaint originally investigated it. The current zoning on the property is for single-family residential, and this would not be allowed. So this would be a means to resolve that if the commission voted to approve.
All right, so then your outreach to the people that live around it, like 1411 and 1409 and 1413, what was their response to what you are trying to do here?
From the one that I talked to the one that lives close to the lot, and I told him my situation, explaining everything, and he said, he was glad that we were there because, the lot was kept in good shape, clean and everything. And I told him not mind, to maintain or help the people close by or whatever, But I haven't met all of the neighbors closer, but the one that I had the time that I talked to them, they just say, just do whatever or go ahead and do whatever I have to do.
Thank you. Are you the owner of the property?
Oh, I'm renting the
You're renting
Yeah,
it
I'm renting the
presently?
property.
Okay. Any other questions from the commission? So thank you very much.
All right,
Thank
you're
you so much. Next, those wishing to speak in opposition, as a group, you have a total of 10 minutes to speak. Please come forward and give your name and address.
Good evening, Commissioners. Crystal Black, 1120 High Stone Drive. I'm here to speak. We have Ms. Rodriguez in the audience. She is at 1409 Glendale. She did not receive a letter nor any communication with this about this particular case. So I'm here to speak about the proper use of this particular property. It was reported by complaints from residents in the neighborhood that reached out to the Southeast Greensboro Coalition to see if we could take action. So I filed the complaint, took pictures, and sent it into Planning and Zoning. As a reaction to that, a rezoning was submitted. It's not the proper use for the property. Across the street, there is a monk temple. Immediately next door to this property is residential, and I don't know if any of you had a chance to visit the community, but there's been a lot of revitalization. There's also been some multifamily housing that has been rezoned to that big lot that's kind of in the back of it. So this is on Holden Road, there's a shopping center where K&W is. And so this area is kind of now being uplifted in a way that the community is appreciating. The homes that are older homes in that area are being remodeled, and it's just not the proper use. So this property sits in front of residential areas. When you move down, if you look at the map that she showed, there's some buffer area that has been given to the one industrial property that's across the street from that lot. So you don't even see that industry there, and the access to that industry is actually down the road. So the building may be there, but they're accessing it from closer to Holden Road, and there was a buffer created in front of that lot to protect those residential community. There's a tractor trailer on it. There's a home living trailer on it. There are broke down cars on it. The fence that has been put on it is put with wood 4x4 panels, but nothing really stable like posts implanted. The reason that the community was concerned was by the blight that the property all of a sudden became. And so we submitted the request. And so I'm here to oppose that, because I think that if we're going to zone responsibly, this particular zoning, it just doesn't fit what they are moving forward in that community with. There's a lot of land that stretches from there to Sumner School. We met with a developer already who is planning to put some housing out there, and I think that that's probably going to be the best use. We know what the plan is for Greensboro, and so to put industry there, we have industry. There's actually industry there that's not even being used. Buildings that have kind of, been there for years, but they're still trying to rent and lease those pieces out. But this particular thing, I don't see landscaping. I'll say that. I don't see landscaping. I do see a place where somebody wants to bring a whole bunch of stuff and keep on a property. As far as keeping it secure, even the fence that was put up really doesn't secure the lot. So I just wanted to kind of come and speak to those residents. There are some language barriers, and just speak to support them. But I will say that the people that I spoke to in that immediate area have not received a letter of any notification or had a conversation with this particular client or the owner of the property about any change of use.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Oh, the applicant? You have a question for the applicant?
Question.
Oh, okay.
Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm. Not really sure. So I thought personally, because if you kind of, I can't remember the name of the church, but they bought a large piece of property over there to do housing and multifamily housing. So I didn't know if that was going to curve around, and that property may have had something to do with that, because you're only talking about one or two houses. Miss Rodriguez is one house, and then there's another house that's there. But the rest of that lot, there's future development that's supposed to happen. So I just assumed that maybe it was going to be connected to the future development. And then all of a sudden we see it's just storage of stuff, nothing really that looks like landscaping, unless it's in this truck trailer, but it's a blight. And the Monk community across the street, they are really serious about keeping their property up and keeping it beautiful, and I'm sure that they would like to see the same thing reciprocated from across the street. Thank you.
I just want to add, Ms. Black, that I spoke with the Vietnamese temple, the Chua Quan Am, and they had no opposition to this. None whatsoever, just to let you know that.
Okay, I did not reach out to them because I
appreciate all your other
privacy, their privacy. But I do have Miss Rodriguez, and she is actually next door on the same side of that street. Yes. And just to reiterate, she did not receive notification. I just think that changing the zoning for somebody who's renting the property also it's in question too.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Chair Megan, I have a question. Yes. And maybe this is a question for the staff as well, but is it true or is it not true that this current industrial zoning is surrounded by light industrial zoning?
So there's a lot that I guess is zoned on the corner of Holden and Glendale. My daughter is 29 years old. I can tell you it's been empty at least 29 years. So it's zoned that, but it has not been used for anything. If you look across the street on the side where the temple is,
I can
and
speak
you move
to that
down.
Directly. I can speak to that directly.
Oh, go ahead.
Let me just speak to that. So next to it, across the street from it, is Weaver Cook, a business that's closed, Turner Asphalt, St. John's Packing, and at the corner, Timco Air Systems. That's what reaches South Holden. So across the street, it's all industrial. Right of the property is land with
Ms.
trees.
Manger, would it be helpful? I'm trying to pull
Yes.
the map up.
Yes, thank you.
Just good for what you need for reference.
Okay, so great. So starting from the lot we're talking about across the street from it, there's Weaver Cook Business, Turner Asphalt, St. John's Packing, and at the corner, Timco Air Systems of South Holden. When you, next to the property, there's land with trees and then a vacant lot, as you spoke about. This is a little perplexing to me, because first of all, it falls under the planned industrial district, and it has next to it a lot of businesses. I have one question for the staff. This is a rental. I didn't know that. So he is renting it from the owner. Can they bring a case like this forward if they're renting?
I mean, if the owner has authorized them to be here in that capacity, then yes, there's
Can the applicant come back?
no legal issue there. You may have a question of the.
Can we finish with?
As a matter of
yes.
policy, whether
Yes.
you would be inclined to grant it, but.
Okay, so
I think Mr. Nichols had a question.
Yeah.
do you have another question? Okay.
At least twice you've referenced the fact that the applicant is a landscape company, but you don't see landscaping. But if I drive by a cement factory, I don't see cement, or a shoe factory, I don't see shoes, or a beer brewery, I don't see beer. So my question to you is, what are we to take from your repeated assertion that we don't see landscaping. I drove by there. I saw equipment that would be used for landscaping. So can you elaborate on that?
So there are also inoperable cars on the lot. There is a live-in trailer on the lot, and then there's a tractor trailer on the lot. You know, the lot is a blight, and if you're going to rezone it, at least rezone it with conditions on it. The owner not being here, or I would ask staff, do they even have confirmation that the owner actually
that's the question I just asked.
Actually approved the rezoning?
Yeah.
But what I will say is the closest building to this lot is residential.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So can we have the applicant come back? Because I'd like to know whether the owner is in support of this case.
I had confirmed with our staff that, yes, the owner did say it was okay to move forward on his behalf.
Okay.
So, I'm sorry, can I ask a question now? So, I'm assuming we had an oral conversation with the owner who authorized a renter to put forth an application for a zoning request. Yeah. We didn't ask for any written...
We actually have written documentation. Anytime that an owner is authorizing somebody else to speak on their behalf, we have a third-party authorization. So that's in the application materials. It wouldn't be in your packet necessarily, but we did get the owner to say, yes, this person is able to move forward with this request in writing.
So even notwithstanding the owner's, I guess, verification that he wants or she wants this to happen, we can still accept an application from a renter for a change in zoning.
Yes, that's actually fairly common. We've got requests where the property owner is authorizing other parties to represent them in the request. I mean, obviously, most of the time it's an attorney or somebody else, but we have had cases where it's been somebody else that's the user of the property right then, and then is speaking on behalf of the owner. As long as the owners indicate to us they're okay for that person to proceed, which in this case they did.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the commissioners at this point? Okay. The applicant, could you just state your name and address into the record that the owner is in agreement to this case?
Yeah, he sent me the, sorry.
Name and address first.
From the owner?
Your name and address.
My name is Raul Ponciano, and I'm renting the lot on 1419 Glendale.
Thank you. And now could you tell us your conversation with the owner in regard to the case?
Yeah, I know him for years, and I know used to be a house there.
Somebody owns that property. You can film her going into the property.
I'm sorry, is there somebody online trying to speak? Because if we can just wait a second and have the commission get their question answered.
Mr. Peterson had his microphone unmuted. So, Mr. Peterson, if you have a question, hold it for just a minute, and we will call on you in just a second.
Thank you. Please explain to us the conversation with the owner. Thank you.
Yeah, I know. I spoke to him. Like I said, I know Mr. Lee for years, and I know he used to have he used to be a house there. The house caught on fire, and he said after he called me, because I always kept asking me about I live in Nashville, but I usually work in Greensboro all the time, and he knew my situation, and when he called me, he said, hey, the lot is available if we still want to rent it. And we started, we talked and everything. And then the first thing, with, the city went there, and they said, because when they see that, like, the trailers parked there and everything, they say, you have to, you cannot have this equipment over here because this property has to be rezoning. And that's when I talked to Mr. Lee again, and he gave me authorization, fill out the papers that we need and everything. And he said, you go ahead and do. So we got all the paperwork with his authorization.
Thank you for the clarity there. Thank you so much.
Chair Magid, if I may, I apologize. Were we still in the midst of the oppositions period? I just want to make sure we're not losing track of sort of where we are in the process there.
Yes.
I appreciate that, but just wanted to make sure.
Yes. Ms. Gaines?
And Mr. Peterson may have a question as well.
Okay. Ms. Gaines?
When I drove by the property and I looked at the property, it appears there is a small travel trailer on the property. What's that being used for?
That's used. I keep my tools in there. That's just like an old camper, but I use it because I kept some of my equipment in my trucks, and somebody already broke in and stole some stuff. So I use a little camper just for keep my small tools.
For storage. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So we put up the time that's left for opposition. Is it 6 minutes? Does anyone want to speak in opposition? Okay. Now it's time for the rebuttal. You have 5 minutes. Does Mr. Peterson have a question, first of all? Mr. Peterson, would you like to?
No.
Okay,
No.
thank you. All right. Now we're in the rebuttal period. You have 5 minutes to rebuttal, to speak against or whatever you want to say. And maybe you could let the interpreter help us a little because we're having difficulty understanding.
Right, that's right. I'm sorry about that. But anyways, about the concerns from people, about the fence and everything, I will build what it needs to be done in the right way. I will put like a privacy fence. I don't want to have things visible from the road or anything. The main thing is I don't want to cause any issues with the neighbors, like no traffic issues. I want to keep everything organized, clean and organized, and also have a good relations with the surrounding neighbors as well.
Okay. But that is not a condition on this application, right? We don't have any condition about that.
No.
All right, Mr. Downing?
I was about to ask the same thing. Are you implying that you would like conditions now, or?
I was going to say, this is a straight zoning application. The commission would consider all uses, all scales of uses, et cetera, with this. Can't talk about conditions at this point.
Okay. Thank you for your rebuttal.
You're welcome.
Is there anyone in opposition that would like to make a rebuttal? You have 5 minutes.
Hi, good evening. My name's Abril Rodriguez-Rubio. I live on 1409 Glendale Drive, so just 3 houses down from where their property is. Just as the previous lady said, I really don't have confidence that this is going to be something that's actually going to be beneficial for our street. Like she mentioned, a lot of us are working on remodeling our houses, making sure they're maintained. The house across the street is also in the process of remodeling it too. And so I think that the way that it looks right now does not look very promising. I don't have any confidence that it's going to make our street look any better. Myself and my husband as owners, we do believe that eventually we do want the street to, or even off of Holden, right, to have more businesses and those sorts of things, but on that side, not on our side. So that's kind of where my thought process is.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
Okay. There's 3 minutes and 50 seconds, so if you would like to speak in opposition.
I just wanted to reiterate that Ms. Rodriguez did not receive a letter, and there was not a community meeting to get feedback. I hear that the interest of adding conditions, if you had had a conversation with the community first, you would have kind of known what their feedback would have been and been able to make some of those provisions before we got here. So I don't know. I do live in the community, but I also hear from Ms. Rodriguez and the ones who have put money into their homes in that area and have hoped for some viability in that area. And this property, again, it was a code complaint, and it was for blight and for just things piling up. And so I don't have the confidence either, but I don't know if a recommendation can be to continue it, and maybe they can have a conversation with the community about looking at it again with the owner, because essentially the owner is the one who I think should be having the conversation about commitments. But I don't have confidence either in the way what I see from the street. And I would like to also say that there is this industry that you did discuss in the purple has a significant buffer area that sits in front of this residential, as Ms. Skeen said, used to be home that was there, and that's why that buffer was put there, so that they're making a mixed use, but at that point it was residential. That buffer was put there to protect the residential community to the right. No one is arguing. If you all had a zoning for the corner of Randleman and Glendale, it wouldn't be an argument, because that makes sense. But to start creeping into the residential area, especially when we're trying to look at housing in that big land area, I just don't think we need to start rezoning for industrial. So thank you.
Thank you for your comments. I just want to make certain, Mr. Kirkman, that I'm correct at this. You know, the TRC site plan would review the buffer that she's talking about. That's not required in this application that we're looking at.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it depends on what actually gets developed on the property as to what buffers would be. There are outdoor screening requirements that talk about screening from residential and from public streets with an outdoor storage area. If you've got different types of uses, depends on what uses you have, would be different types of buffers, either from the street or from property lines. But all of that would be worked out as part of site plan review.
Thank you. And then this particular case does not, this application doesn't allow for condition to be added, correct?
Right. This request before you this evening is a straight zoning application, so you would consider all uses, all scale of uses allowed within light industrial with this application.
And if he wanted to change it, he would have to resubmit.
Correct.
And pull this application. Is that correct?
Chair Magid, just to build off what Mr. Kirkman said, state statutes sort of put rezonings into two buckets of a just traditional rezoning without conditions and a conditional rezoning, and you can't sort of switch tracks from one to the other mid-process. So yes, you're right.
Thank you. Okay, at this point, I'd like to close the public hearing. Okay, so we're going to close the public hearing. Is there any more discussion that is needed by the commissioners?
Yes, Madam Chair, I'm just looking at this, and in our entire booklet, of course, we have staff suggestions and analysis, and in our analysis, I mean, this is not compatible with the existing comprehensive plan, nor is it consistent with the development trend. We talked about the trend. People are, redoing their neighborhood or their homes and areas of that nature. It is, and the lack of community outreach is also a major concern as well. Even though one may have one-on-one communication, that one-on-one communication would have perhaps led to some type of intrinsic condition, even though it's not on paper. Very concerned. I will not be supporting this initiative or this particular moving forward. So that's what I want to share on my end.
Thank you, Mr. Downing. Anyone else?
Yes.
Ms. O'Connor.
Following what Mr. Downing had to say, I appreciate that the staff does not recommend this. I'm a little confused by the comment in the staff analysis that it is currently designated industrial on the comprehensive plan's future land use map, but the staff is opposed to a rezoning request for industrial. So I'm just confused.
Sure, I'll be happy to address that. So obviously the designations are policy designations in the larger comprehensive plan. If you remember, within the comprehensive plan, we had that list of 10 questions that talk about things that we need to consider in determining whether or not a zoning is consistent with the comprehensive plan, and that the questions get to compatibility, consistency with either the existing pattern of land use or some emerging pattern of land use that we're trying to encourage through the comprehensive plan. So we want to try at least make it clear that while the general designation says it should transition to this use, we didn't feel like in this case that it actually fit the context, and therefore we recommend denial.
Thank you. It's just confusing to me. But I also appreciate, as I think Mr. Downing already commented, the support of the neighbors in the residential portion of Glendale and the concern for keeping that with the residential flavor. So I would be opposed going industrial on this particular plot anyway. I would want to support the neighbors in keeping it residential in character. So I would be opposed to this as well.
Thank you, Ms. O'Connor. Ms. Gaines? And then
I've got to say that it's sitting, got residential behind it, it's got residential beside it. And this is a straight zoning, and that bothers me more than anything else. If you look at what can go in LI without conditions, a microbrewery, an eating and drinking establishment, it starts intruding in the neighborhood. And as Ms. Black pointed out, across the street that is industrial, they made a point of increasing buffers to protect the residential area. And there's no conditions in here to protect the surrounding residential. So in its present format, I cannot support this request.
thank you, Ms. Gaines. Can we go down? Mr. Nichols?
Yeah, I just want to say I found this particular application in the city's position a little bit confusing because as I look at it, it's a island of residential that wishes to be rezoned into the sea of light industrial. Nevertheless, I will also oppose the application largely due to deference to the staff's opinion, because I believe you guys are professionals and you understand what you're doing better than I do, perhaps. I am troubled also, to echo Mr. Downing's remarks about the outreach that was done. And I also think that adding conditions to the use could be a solution to all of this. I also think, very candidly to the applicant, Mr. Ponciano, that making his parcel look a little bit more appealing to the neighborhood would help significantly. So I would suggest that he be encouraged to reapply, submit conditions, clean up the appearance of his property, and maybe we'll see it differently the next time around. But for now, I will oppose it.
Thank you, Mr. Nichols. Mr.
Yes.
Gilmer?
Yes, Madam Chairman. Although meeting with the neighborhood is a recommendation, it's not mandatory, but I will not be supporting this. I don't think it fits in the character of the neighborhood right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Glass?
I agree with what's been said. I don't have anything to add, and I would just say I don't know if it's customary for us to have to go around and recite what our opinions will be, but I'm not going to make this a habit.
Didn't want to leave you out. And Mr. Peterson, do you have anything to say? Okay. All right. I will entertain a motion. Thank you, Mr. Downing.
The Greensboro Planning, Madam Chair, I'm making a motion in regard to agenda item Z2504005. The Planning and Zoning Commission, the Greensboro Planning and Zoning Commission believes that its action to recommend denial, of the rezoning request for the property at 1419 Glensdale Drive from R3 Residential Single Family 3 to LI Light Industrial to be inconsistent with the adopted GSO 2040 Comprehensive Plan, and considers the action taken to be unreasonable and not in the public interest for the following reasons. Number one, the request is inconsistent with the Comprehensive Plan's future built form map and future land use map. Number two, the proposed LI zoning district does not limit negative impacts on the adjacent properties, nor does it permit uses that fit the context of the surrounding area. The request is not reasonable due to the size, physical conditions, and other attributes of the area. It will be a detriment to the neighbors and surrounding community, and denial is in the public interest.
Commissioner Gilbert seconds.
Thank you, Mr. Downing and Mr. Gilbert. We will now vote. All those in favor of the denial, raise your hand and say aye. Aye. Mr. Peterson? Mr.
Nay.
Sorry. Yes? Okay, thank you. Any opposed? That passes 8-0. Zoning denial constitutes a final action unless an appeal is submitted in writing to the Planning Department and the appeal fee paid within 10 days. All zoning appeals will be subject to a public hearing at the Tuesday, June 17th, 2025 City Council meeting. That was a difficult one. The next item, item Z 25-05-004, the rezoning request from R5 Residential Single Family 5 to a PUD planned unit development and consideration of the required unified development plan for the property identified as 1619 Rakin Road, generally described as north of Rakin Road and west of Irwin Street, 3.09 acres. Oh, and Mr. Nelson.
Thank you, Chair Megan. This is the zoning map of the area, showing that the subject property is approximately 3.09 acres, is located north of Rankin Road and east of Irwin Street. This is a rezoning request from R5, Residential Single Family 5, to PUD, Planned Unit Development, in consideration of the associated Unified Development Plan. North of the request is Zone R5, Residential Single Family 5. East of the request is Zone R5 and R7. South and west of the request are Zone R5 and CM Commercial Medium. This is the aerial map of the proximity, showing that the subject property is currently undeveloped land. North of the request contains single and multifamily dwellings. East of the request contains single-family dwellings and undeveloped land. South and west of the request contains single-family dwellings, and southwest is a convenience store with fuel pumps. This image shows the subject property as seen from Rankin Road. And this image shows the subject property as seen from Irwin Street. This image shows multifamily dwellings located north of the request on Summit Avenue, zoned R5. This image shows a single-family dwelling located northwest of the request on Summit Avenue, zoned R5. This image shows a single-family dwelling located east of the request on Irwin Street, zoned R7. This image shows undeveloped land located east of the request on Irwin Street, zone R5. This image shows an example of the single-family dwellings located east of the request on Irwin Street, zone R5. This image shows a single-family dwelling with a child daycare home use located south of the request on Rankin Road, zone R5. This image shows a single-family dwelling located south of the request on Rankin Road, zone R5. This image shows undeveloped land located south of the request on Rankin Road at the corner of Wichita Place, zone R5. And this image shows an example of the single-family dwellings located southwest of the request on Rankin Road, zone R5. And this image shows a single-family dwelling located west of the request on Summit Avenue, zone R5. This view is facing west on Rankin Road. The subject property is on the right. And this view is facing east on Rankin Road. The subject property here is on the left. This view is facing south on Irwin Street. The subject property is on the right. And this view is facing north on Irwin Street. The subject property on the left. These are the conditions that were proposed by the applicant and advertised with the request. And in recommending approval, staff noted that the GSO 2040 Comprehensive Plan's future built form map designates the subject property as urban general, and the future land use map designates the property as residential. The proposed rezoning request supports the comprehensive plan's filling in our framework big idea to arrange our land uses for where we live, work, attend school, shop, and enjoy our free time to create a more vibrant, livable Greensboro. The proposed rezoning request also supports the comprehensive plan's Creating Great Places goal to provide a citywide network of unique neighborhoods that offer residents of all walks of life a variety of quality housing choices. And staff found that the proposed PUD zoning designation as condition would permit single and multifamily residential uses at an overall gross density no greater than 19.42 dwelling units per acre. This request increases the variety of housing choices available in the area and provides an appropriate transition from the adjacent commercial uses to the single-family residential neighborhood located to the northeast. The subject property is also located near multifamily residential zoning to the south, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions from the commissioners?
I have a question mostly out of curiosity. I saw that the screen flipped, that it was 19 point some units per acre. Is there a guideline, or is there a way that we determine the density for planned unit developments?
Planned unit development doesn't have a specified density. That's just a reference point for the commission.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
there's no minimum or maximum within the planned unit development district.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nelson. If the applicant would come forward, you have up to 10 minutes. Please give us your name and address.
Good evening, Madam Chair and members of the Commission. My name is Joe Kupiec. I'm with CDI Builders. I reside at 324 East Greenway Drive North here in Greensboro. And this is my business partner.
Hi, my name is Brian Hocart. I live at 401 Lingley Road, Greensboro, North Carolina.
We are proposing to develop this land into single-family / townhomes, residential units. To kind of expand a little bit on your question about the number of units, we do have here on the Unified Development Plan up to 60. So that would be basically the max that we would be able to go to, and it would be obviously determined by TRC review as well. We did a outreach meeting. We sent out letters to all the people that were on the list provided by the city. There was about 125 letters that we sent out, and we had 3 groups of people come. One was across the street at that daycare center. They told us they were in favor of it. There was a man that came from Summit who also said he was in favor of it. And then there was a third group that came that had a question about the property that connects to Irwin Street, as far as what we're going to do with that. So, but otherwise it went fairly well.
Thank you. Any questions from the commissioners?
What was the answer to the question about Irwin Street?
Well, I thought you, yeah. Well, we reviewed that in the sketch plan review with the city, and they thought that that land was, well, the best use for entrance and exit would be off Rankin. So that would be what we're gearing towards, and that's what we're kind of developing the plan for, is to have exit and entrance off of Rankin only. And that property, when we did our initial plan, putting units on the property, we didn't do anything with that property. It's probably just going to stay like it is. We might have to run, again, this will be based on TRC review, but we may use it for sewer outfall, but maybe not, because we could also come down into Rankin as well. So, but other than that, we don't really see any use for that property other than open space and green space. But again, I can't say that for sure until TRC review.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You still have 8 minutes that you can speak in favor of this. Are there any other people here that would like to speak in favor of this request? Okay. If not, next, those wishing to speak in opposition. You have a total of 10 minutes.
Chair Magid, I'd just like to note for the record that Commissioner Peterson has left the meeting.
Thank you. Please state your name and address.
Hi, Ryan Storms, 3601 Sharon Avenue. So I'm kind of like up off of here. Oh, sorry, my house is kind of like right over here. So I'm not a contiguous property, but I just wanted to represent for my community. I actually reached out to Joe via email, but I didn't get a response back. I assume you kind of were busy, and I guess I also missed the neighborhood meeting, so I apologize. So some of my main concerns, actually first, seeing the numbers you put up on there on the board, 19 units per acre. In the letter we got in the mail, I'm pretty sure it said 5 units per acre. I don't have the letter here with me today, but I could be wrong. So that, I guess that is my first concern, because I don't think 60 townhomes would be great for that area, but we'll see. So I guess since I have you here, Joe, and you can have your time later, my main question was, will the residents in the area get like a development plan and see what that would look like? Because that was what was in my email. But since I have you here, that's what I wanted to ask you. And then for the city commission's office, I was wondering if we could put like, and this is a high ask, so I'm not expecting this at all from you or him, but our community is very walkable, so a lot of people walk on the Rankin area right here, because Jay's Grocery is right up the street, and a lot of people walk the neighborhood to go there or other places. So I was wondering if at all possible, would we be able to add a walkway, since we have someone redeveloping the area anyway, since it is a very walkable part of our neighborhood. And then I guess my other question, which someone must have asked you at the meeting, Joe, was your expected use of this property. Because there is a family there that kind of use it right now as their own property. I don't know them personally, but I thought I would ask for them. I think that's all my questions for now.
Thank you. Would the applicant come back now? We'll have the
Are there any other
rebuttal.
people speaking in opposition, just to be clear?
Yeah. Is there anyone else that wanted to speak in opposition? I think, did I ask that? Okay. Anyone online? Okay. Now we'll move to the rebuttal period. You have 5 minutes to rebut, to speak. Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to address about his email. I did respond to his email, and I'm going to read it right now. I responded he sent me it on 5/8 at 1:05 p.m., and I responded at 5/8 at 4:04 p.m. And I said, hi, Ryan, the plans for that piece of land. Well, his email, I'll read you his, I guess. I live in the area of the proposed townhomes, and I was wondering you if have any plans that you'll be able to share ahead of the meeting in a couple of weeks. I mainly just want to know your plans for the piece that touches Irwin, but a layout would be nice to picture what it would look like. And then I responded, hey, Ryan, the plans for that piece of land off of Irwin we are thinking will not be built on. We don't have a full site plan done yet, but from what I have seen from our preliminary UDP plan is that we would use that space as just open green space, or possibly to bring the new sewer line through to tie into the street at Irwin. I won't have the final answer for you until we get the site plan done and approved, but we don't feel like that space will be used for any buildings. Also, we currently have the entrance and exit coming off of Rankin. Please reach out anytime for any other questions, and we hope to see you at the outreach on Monday at 6 p.m. So I don't know if you got it or not, but it was sent. Okay. That's all right. It happens to me all the time. So, yeah, that's I just want to respond, and because I normally try to answer everybody's questions.
Okay, you have 3 minutes and 27 seconds if there's anything else that you would like to add, that comments that were made.
Well, that would be part of the TRC review.
And please, let's not speak back and forth
Okay.
from the audience, okay?
Yeah, you mentioned something about the sidewalk.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure that when we do the entrance off of Rankin, that there will have to be a sidewalk there.
Mr. Kirkman, is that so?
Actually, I'll let the transportation
Oh,
folks.
Mr. Norton.
Yes, sidewalk is a requirement of development, yes.
Thank you. Okay. With that said, we have 5 minutes of rebuttal time. Thank you very much. Would you like to come up to the podium? Thank you.
So, Ryan Storms, 3601 Sharon Avenue again. I just had another question regarding traffic studies, depending on how many units are being planned. I know the city does that a lot. Do you know if traffic studies have
Wait
been...
a minute. We're going to ask that directly to staff.
Oh, okay.
Thank
Sorry.
you. Mr.
Thank you.
Kirkman.
Actually, I'll take that.
Mr.
The
Norton.
60 townhomes, or the 60 units.
Mr.
Tipton.
Sorry.
It's okay. The 60 units in the UDP would not be a high enough number to trigger a traffic study. It would not meet thresholds for a traffic study, so one was not required.
It would not require a traffic study. Okay. Thank you very much. All right. With it having been said, we will close the public hearing and we'll open it to any discussion from the commissioners. Seeing none, then I will entertain a motion. And we are looking for a rezoning motion first.
Chair, I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Ms. O'Connor.
The Greensboro Planning and Zoning Commission believes that its action to recommend approval of the rezoning request for the property at 1619 Rankin Road from R5 Residential Single Family 5 to PUD Planned Unit Development to be consistent with the adopted Greensboro 2040 Comprehensive Plan and considers the action taken to be reasonable and in the public interest for the following reasons. The request is consistent with the comprehensive plan's future built form map and future land use map. The proposed PUD planned unit development as conditioned permits uses that fit the context of the surrounding area and limits negative impacts on the adjacent properties. The request is reasonable due to the size, physical conditions, and other attributes of the area. It will benefit the property owner and surrounding community, and approval is in the public interest.
Thank you, Ms. O'Connor. A second, please.
Mary Skeens, second.
Thank you, Ms. Skeens. Now we will take a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye and raise your arm. Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Peterson is no longer with us. Any opposed? That passes 7-0. Okay. Now we will need a UDP motion as well.
Mary Skeens, make a motion to approve the UDP as submitted with 1619 Rankin Road.
Sandra O'Connor, I'll second the motion.
Thank you, Ms. Haynes and Ms. O'Connor. And now we will take a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raise your arm. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? That passes 7-0. This approval constitutes a final action unless an appeal is submitted in writing to the Planning Department and the appeal fee paid within 10 days. Anyone may file such appeal. All such appeals will be subject to a public hearing on Tuesday, June 17th, 2025, City Council meeting. All adjoining property owners will be notified of any such appeal. And finally, item PLP 25-19, request to close a portion of Salem Street from its intersection with Boyd Street to its intersection with Stedman Street, approximately 291 feet. Stedman Street from its intersection Salem to its intersection with R. Lee Street, approximately 641 feet, and a portion of R. Lee Street from the eastern property lines of 428 Boyd Street and 500 Boyd Street to its intersection with Stedman Street, approximately 139 feet. Thank you, Mr. Carter.
Thank you, Chair Magid. To summarize all of what Ms. Magid just read, these portions of Arley Street that you see here, so from its intersection with Stedman over to the edge of this property line, and then it would include all of Stedman, and then and Salem Street from its intersection with Stedman over to its intersection with Boyd. So just so that you can visualize the portion of the property or the portion of the road that is requested to be closed. All of the properties that are adjacent to these sections of street are owned by the state of North Carolina. NCA&T is here to request the street closure request. And in recommending approval of the request, well, first, there are two things that the Planning and Zoning Commission must take into consideration and find in order to recommend approval of this request. The first is that closing the street to vehicular traffic is not contrary to the public interest, and two, that no property owner in the vicinity is deprived of reasonable means of ingress and egress. And as I said, it's the same owner that owns all of it. The Technical Review Committee recommended approval of the proposed street closure at their May 9th, 2025 meeting with the following conditions. The first is that the street closure is not final until a plat is recorded showing the area within the right-of-way being combined with adjacent properties. And then the second is that the city shall retain a 20-foot utility easement or 20-foot utility easements for any public utility that is located inside of that right-of-way. And the easement would be centered over the existing utility lines until such time as the lines are no longer needed for public use. With that, I can answer any questions that you have.
Does the commission have any questions? Seeing none, would there any applicant or anyone like to speak? You have up to 10 minutes. I'm sorry, 3 minutes. I'm sorry.
I'll be really quick. Jim Westmoreland, I'm the Director of Parking and Transportation Services with North Carolina A&T State University, and I'm here to support, on behalf of Chancellor James R. Martin, the request this evening. I'm also joined by our Assistant Vice Chancellor of Facilities, Bill Barlow. So this request is consistent with the ideals that are expressed in our 2023-2038 master plan for the campus. So we do own all the property around all of these streets, and we are prepared to take them over. And the two conditions that were cited in terms of the request, we're prepared to take those on as well. So happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. And would you just state your name and address? I got your name, but I'm not certain I got the address.
Yes, Jim Westmoreland, and our address is 1600 East Market Street.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, with that being said, any questions from the commissioner? Okay, we will close the public hearing, and I will entertain a motion, and the motion should include one part of it is parts of Arley and Salem and all of Stedman Street as the closure. Would someone please do that? Thank you.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the closing of a portion of Salem Street, Stedman Street, and a portion of Arley Street, subject to it being final once a plat is recorded showing the area within the right-of-way being combined with the adjacent properties, and that the city shall retain a 20-foot utility easement centered over existing utility lines until such times as the lines are no longer needed for public use.
Commissioner Gilmore seconds.
Thank you, Ms. Kings and Mr. Gilmer, but it is all of Stedman Street. Okay, now we will take a vote. All those in favor signify by raising your arm and saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Seeing none, that passes 7-0. This constitutes a favorable recommendation and is subject to a public hearing at the Tuesday, June 17th, 2025 City Council meeting.
We have nothing for the commission in addition to the agenda this evening.
Okay, and do we have any idea about, we've closed the public hearing now. Thank you. Do we know about what we will have at the?
We're looking at about 14 for next
Yeah, I
month.
thought I was going to do it. Okay, thank you very much. So what did you say? 14.
No.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Nelson.
14. I guess we get dinner, don't we?
All right, thank
We
you
will
very
make
much.
arrangements to
I have
keep
a
you happy,
question.
yes.
Yes, please.
Procedurally, I'm just wondering We went through an unusual circumstance this evening where we had a tenant rather than an owner, and staff verified for us that that had been securely checked. I'm wondering, should we be concerned or raise questions if someone says they're speaking on behalf of someone else? Is there any obligation to have that verified?
Chair O'Connor, I know that staff pointed out that they do ensure that there's an owner authorization form, but I could certainly speak with them
I'm
around.
thinking about a neighbor saying, I'm here on behalf of my other neighbor.
From the standpoint that it is a legislative hearing and therefore a policy decision, it doesn't raise concerns in the way that a quasi-judicial hearing would. I think you really just have to sort of judge for yourselves what the probative value of that information is, the truth of it, and how much weight you choose to give it. That's where I would leave it.
Well, I guess it was just alarming that was one of the first things that he said, and the way he said it, it seemed as if there was a disconnect between the owner and himself. And I know there's a difference between an attorney standing up to represent a client where there's obviously a set-in-stone relationship versus I'm not saying he was random, because again, he said he had that established connection, but some random person from standing up to say, I represent X. And I've seen it before, but for some reason it just stood out to me at that
Yes,
point.
ma'am. Certainly understood, Commissioner Glass. And again, right, I think staff does obtain those owner authorization forms, which are pretty broad language, accounting for a range of circumstances, but definitely understand.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, we are adjourned.
We are adjourned. We are